No inscriptions. No explanations. Just stone, placed in a way that demanded obedience. In the ancient world, not every form of power needed to be announced. There were no signs, no warnings, no explanations. In many places, silence was enough. The mere presence of certain structures communicated everything that needed to be understood. They did not ask for respect. They did not demand obedience. They simply existed, immovable, massive, unavoidable. And that alone shaped how people behaved around them. Power did not come from words, but from the immediate sensation of permanence. Today, we are used to associating authority with speeches, symbols, or visible force. But these ancient constructions operated differently. They did not try to convince. They did not argue. They existed as a fact. A reminder that something greater had already been established long before any individual arrived. And when power manifests itself this way, it does not need repetition. It becomes part of the environment. This is where silence stops being the absence of a message, and becomes the message itself. When presence replaced law, these structures were not merely buildings. They functioned as invisible regulators of human behavior. Instead of written rules or constant surveillance, there was presence. Scale, mass, and solidity created a sense of order that did not need daily reinforcement. People did not obey because someone commanded them. They obeyed because the space itself taught them, without words, how to behave. When a structure dominates its surroundings, it redefines what is allowed, what is possible, and even what is imaginable. There is no need to raise a voice when space itself imposes limits. There is no need for punishment when hierarchy is already embedded in the environment. Authority becomes implicit, almost invisible, yet profoundly effective. This kind of power is more stable precisely because it does not depend on constant intervention. It does not erode the way verbal orders or temporary leadership does. It remains silent, performing its role without needing to be remembered. But this only works when presence is not seen as an exception. What was normal to them? One of the greatest mistakes we make when observing the past is assuming these structures were seen as miracles by those who lived among them. To us, they appear extraordinary. To them, they were ordinary. They were there every day. Part of the landscape. Part of the routine. What we now call mystery was, to them, normality. This normalization is essential to understanding how these structures function as instruments of power. What is rare draws attention. What is constant shapes behavior. When monumentality becomes familiar, it stops impressing and starts educating. It defines what is large, what is small, what endures, and what disappears. And when something becomes normal, it no longer needs explanation. It is accepted not because questioning is forbidden, but because questioning no longer feels necessary. Stone as language. In these contexts, stone was not just a building material. It was language. Every block, every repetition, every alignment communicated a simple and powerful idea: this will last. Unlike symbols, which can be reinterpreted, erased, or forgotten, stone communicates through permanence. Its message does not need to be read. It is felt. Mass, scale, and repetition function as vocabulary. The larger it was, the quieter it became. The more repetitive it was, the more inevitable it felt. There was no need to decorate surfaces with inscriptions or elaborate markings. Excess information weakens a message. Simplicity, when combined with durability, strengthens it. These structures were not speaking to the present. They were speaking to time. And time, unlike people, does not argue. It only passes. The absence of ornament. There is a reason many of these constructions appear austere to modern eyes. Ornament ages poorly. Symbols change. Decorations belong to specific moments. Raw stone, on the other hand, crosses generations without needing updates. The absence of ornament is not a lack of intention. It is a strategic choice. When something is too simple to interpret, it becomes difficult to contest. There is nothing to debate. Nothing to reinterpret. Only presence. Silent authority does not try to be admired. It does not need approval. It simply occupies space in a definitive way. And by doing so, it shifts the burden of interpretation onto the observer. Power does not explain itself. It asserts itself through continuity. Time is an ally of power. These structures were not designed for one generation, nor for two. They were conceived to exist beyond individual memory. Time was not an enemy to be fought, but an ally built into the design. Every passing year reinforced the original message: this remains. While human leadership rises and falls, stone continues. While systems change, it remains. And this difference creates a form of authority that does not need renewal. It accumulates. It gains weight. It gains legitimacy simply by surviving. The most durable power is not the one imposed through immediate force, but the one normalized over time. And few things normalize authority better than silent permanence. Why it still affects us. Even empty, even stripped of practical function, these structures still affect us. Not because someone tells us to respect them, but because something in them triggers a feeling that is difficult to explain. A mixture of insignificance, curiosity, and discomfort. They do not threaten, but they do not welcome either. They simply exist. This reaction is not accidental. It is the result of centuries of human interaction with spaces that communicated power without dialogue. Our minds recognize these signals, even if we cannot name them. Scale, silence, and permanence still function, even outside their original context. The power, in these cases, did not disappear. It simply lost its voice. And perhaps that is why it remains so difficult to ignore. Open ending. Some forms of authority do not need to be remembered. They do not rely on stories, records, or explanations. They remain, doing what they have always done. Enduring. And perhaps the true power of these structures lies not in what they represent, but in the fact that they never needed to explain anything at all.